long have you lived here?
¿Cuántos años tiene viviendo aquí?
30 años aquí.
You lived that whole time in this house without water connection?
¿Ha estado aquí sin conexión del agua todos estos años?
Sí.
Are you hopeful that you'll get water connected?
Tengo 67, entonces ¿cuánto me falta? No es una esperanza que de veras me vayan a poner agua.
Challenging you with these bumps, man.
These desert roads, just inside the doorway to America, string together some of the nation's most forgotten places. The dry, crackling earth of the country's poorest, most isolated residents. Hundreds of thousands are without water connections. Their struggle to get it has been decades long, and a complicated, broken system has turned away. Across California, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, some 840,000 people live in what are called colonias, largely low-income immigrant communities, many of which are completely cut off. They grew in the 1950s when developers started chopping up land they couldn't use for agriculture and selling it to low-income families looking for a slice of the American dream. They promised water.
This is an area that was supposed to be turned into a big development, a big neighborhood. There are streets out here, just dirt roads, that were supposed to be neighborhood streets, whole cul-de-sacs. And years ago, people bought lots out here with the promise that it would be turned into a big development, connected development with all the services. And that never happened. And now people just have these lots in their family with nothing out here. There are maybe 10, 12 homes out here, and there are supposed to be hundreds, dozens at least.
Today, in these patchwork neighborhoods of El Paso County, just miles down the road and a world away from one of America's biggest cities, many have no sewer connections. Some have no electricity. Thousands have no water. And in a warming desert, it's already a battle with Mother Earth to connect homes to water before the water runs out.
My name is Gerald Grijalva. I am the general manager for the Lower Valley Water District. About 15 miles south of the city limits of El Paso, Texas. I'd say approximately between 1,500 and 2,000 don't have water service. Every day we get somebody that comes in and says, you guys haven't given me water. Okay, let's put them on the list and let's get on it. Gracias.
Is there a race against the clock here a little bit because the climate is changing and in a water scarce region, water's about to get even more scarce?
We buy our water from El Paso Water. They have been able to provide projections for an adequate water supply at least through 2050, 2060.
Then what? The aquifers under the land near El Paso are emptying, leaving behind water too salty to consume. It's no coincidence that the largest inland desalination plant in the world is in El Paso. It supplements the Rio Grande River, which supplies almost half of El Paso's water, but relies on snowmelt from the Rocky Mountains, snowmelt that's disappearing. Over the last 65 years, snowpack in Colorado, where the river starts, has largely trended down. That means desalination and water reuse might be El Paso's best bet. But those are expensive processes, and that means cost goes up for everyone.
It sort of seems like the whole world is up against this ticking time bomb of climate change, and these are the communities that are going to be left behind first.
Yes. Unfortunately, it all seems to point in that direction. So when the water first comes, it flows into that first tube.
Nayeli Ulguin-Lascano is one of several grad students trying to prevent that.
Sorry, this one's 2,000 gallons.
This is 2,000 gallons of water.
She and a group from the University of Texas, El Paso have engineered a way to get more water for residents who don't have water lines. She brought us here, to a home in a community called Cochrane, to show us.
Since we installed the system, there hadn't been rain until last month. And so now she's almost done with the water that's in that tank.
They're collecting rain. But out here, where it only rains about 8 to 10 inches a year, that only goes so far.
So some of the sinks do have aerators.
Conserving the water they do have is critical.
Aerating of the water is so you can have, so you can save the water. So it'll have less gallons per minute come out of the
I
faucet.
see. Okay. Okay.
Homes here are decorated in colors of tradition, of the past and families left behind in search of a better life. But if you look close enough, you'll also see the scars of the reality that ravages that hope.
This is a 3-stage reverse osmosis filter.
Even if those scars just look like a water filter.
Most people in colonias don't trust the water that they bring, even though it's from, a small water utility or it's from El Paso water and it's just bought in bulk by a smaller water utility. There's a lot of distrust in the water.
What's the root of that?
It's the traumas that people experience, whether it be getting kind of conned into signing an agreement to buy land, and they're not able to read English, right? Because it's only given to them in English, and they're kind of fooled in a way.
Erica Martinez is part of the group that's installed collection and purification systems in the colonias.
I think there are a lot of reasons why that mistrust grows and grows, but it's really ingrained in the foundation of their story, just from the minute they get here, finding that they might have been better off somewhere else.
So then you come in as someone who's trying to help engineer a solution, and one of the big challenges that you suddenly face is that nobody believes that you'll get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of people make promises that they can't keep.
This is your new house.
This is my new house. They tear down the old house.
Patricia Garcia heard a lot of those promises.
When I came here, it took like 3 months for them to put the light in here, the electricity. We didn't have electricity for 3 months.
What'd you do without electricity?
With a car battery, my husband turned on a light bulb at night. And that's it.
3 months without power, 10 years without water.
If you ever go camping, it's the same thing, but every day. It's just like that. You have to go for water. You have to go to look where to go to the bathroom. If somebody let you get a shower in their house.
Did you ever worry about the water being contaminated from
It
the
was
well?
contaminated. I mean, we use the water from here to wash, to bath, and we have skin problems.
Some residents here have tried digging for water on their own, but many can't use their own wells. In 2015, a group called the Rural Community Assistance Partnership surveyed the more than 2,000 colonias across the Southwest and found more than 134,000 people either had access only to contaminated water or had no public connection with possible health hazards present. Many, they said, were drinking untreated water with unknown levels of contaminants: fluoride, arsenic, uranium. Water contaminants can cause gastrointestinal illnesses, neurological problems, and in some cases, cancer. Among all colonias, some are in worse shape than others. The survey's list of the country's most in-need colonias in 2015 had 25 communities. All of them are in Texas, 13 of them in El Paso County alone. Improvement since then has been in no small part because of this woman, Olivia Figueroa. She leads an organization here called Ayuda, which, in the void of elected leaders able to get the job done, has advocated for colonias. These days, working with Erica and Nayeli.
El condado estuvo presente, pero pues la burocracia de los políticos así es nada más llegar a la foto y...
For more than 2 decades now, Olivia's organization has been running a food pantry, teaching health and finance courses to residents, and pushing elected leaders to get homes here on the grid. In this room, inspiration is a commodity. Hope, a currency. People here won't open the door to someone with a badge, but they will to Ayuda.
Cuando uno llega de cierto lugar, aquí llega muy ignorantemente.
Entonces hay mucha gente que se aprovecha de ese, de que uno carece de muchas cosas y.
No tenemos farmacias.
She describes the differences south of I-10 as, you know, not having the adequate resources. There's no hospital, there's no big food store, there's just very limited resources. And if you look on the other side of I-10, there's everything. People don't struggle on the other side. And when they've approached politicians and they've tried to investigate why, they're often told, well, your community doesn't vote. You all don't vote. And so they've started a program to raise awareness and try to get people registered to vote. They're just obstacle after obstacle. Like, well, you're not going to matter until you vote, but we're going to give you 1,000 reasons why you can't vote. So it just creates this cycle of poverty, cycle of, you know, where these people can't get ahead. They're always trying to beat another obstacle.
But that's the recipe of oppression, isn't it? That
Absolutely.
if you can keep people in cycles of survival, they'll never have the opportunity to prosper.
Absolutely, yeah.
Patricia's art was her way of breaking out of the cycle, out of the house that always leaked.
All of the roof was broken, so you can see the light. That's what I'm telling you. I have the sun inside my house, because you can see the sun everywhere.
When it rained and you had holes in your roof, what did you do?
A lot of buckets. A lot of buckets.
But have no illusions. She too was a skeptic when Ayuda promised her a new house.
I didn't believe at first. I said, okay, put me on the list. This day, it was real for me. When I see they tearing down everything, that's when it was real for me.
Chalk it up to poetry, then, that she's on Ayuda's staff these days, with maybe the shortest commute in town and a mind to return the favor.
And then I told them, okay, you see, it's going to be real.
And it has to be, because the problem
Right now.
is only growing.
They open up a new set of lots over there, and they don't have anything.
Why do they keep developing?
Because they want the money.
El Paso is growing more slowly than other Texas cities, but it's still growing, set to put more strain on water resources. By 2050, researchers at the University of Texas El Paso think it'll add another 40,000 households. In this wealthier neighborhood on the city's west side, the economic divide couldn't be clearer.
There are developments all around us. There's this new road and sidewalk that's already lined with landscaping and with electric lanterns, trees like this one. And certainly this is the kind of suburban utopia that will be served by all kinds of water lines. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, there are people who've been waiting 30 years for the basic necessity of water.
So you have a lot of lots where the owners are just unknown, they're abandoned properties, they've never been developed.
Yeah.
Maybe the original owner, 50 years ago passed away and their heirs never realized.
Ileana Holguin is one of the county commissioners in El Paso County. She's engaged for years on Colonia's issues against endless roadblocks.
It's hard because there's, in my precinct alone, there are 300 colonias that are areas that don't have, are fully connected. So either don't have water and wastewater. Some have one, but not the other. Some don't have any connections at all. So what we're trying to slowly do is get as many of these neighborhoods connected as possible.
She says the American Rescue Plan will help. A bond issue approved in 2019 will help. But none of it will be enough.
When I was at the county, there just aren't the dollars available to address all the needs.
On a congressional recess, this area's representative in Washington, Veronica Escobar, was in part focused on colonias, making a site visit with residents fighting for basic needs.
No family in America should live in third world country conditions. That should be unacceptable to every single one of us, but that's happening.
And it's not just happening in West Texas, it's happening in West Virginia.
Yeah.
That people don't have access to clean, connected water.
Right.
So broadly, How do we ensure that, as you said, no community in America lives in conditions like that?
This is why, from my perspective, the definition of infrastructure has to be more than building bridges and building highways. This is the definition of infrastructure.
When the House passed a massive infrastructure package in July, it included $168 billion to connect underserved communities like these colonias. The bipartisan version, which passed the Senate in August, stripped it down to $55 billion, making it less likely to see water connections here.
So they have one more shipment coming in.
Without funding, banking generosity is most of Olivia Figueroa's business. Here, she's collected pallets of donated bottled water for colonias, but the shipments might stop.
But they're saying that if they can't find a place to recycle all the plastic, that they're gonna have to pause the program for a bit.
There's nowhere that will take all these empty bottles and boxes already filling a trailer. A reminder that these attempts at filling the water gaps, providing temporary solutions, just don't cut it.
Some people are willing to bring the water line, but up to where, you know, the homes start. And then each community or each household would have to buy or pay for the line that goes into their homes. And so even if, you know, water utilities did do that, it's still in the thousands to bring in the line to each house. And that would be a big burden on all these families.
Who has the money for that?
I would say none of these communities have the money. They just were told that it would be $38,000 to get the line here, and you know, her house isn't even worth that. Maybe like the whole plot of land is, but not her home.
For Margarita and Hector, the couple who've lived here in Montana Vista for 30 years without water, stopgaps are all they've ever known.
So that's the pump.
A recent pump replacement cost them $800. Each haul of water costs $75. But even when it's here, there's no guarantee it's safe.
Es que el tanque se llena de moho y luego cuando me baño así también que ya se está terminando huele.
Margarita doesn't care about the fact that the Senate is a 50-50 split and the fact that we can only lose 3 votes in the House. All she cares about is, will she finally achieve a standard of living with dignity?
Y sobre todo pues que sigo existiendo y tengo 30 años y voy para adelante.
I would tell Margarita I'm going to keep fighting for that every single day, and we are going to look for every avenue possible to ensure that that happens, and I hope she hangs on to hope.
Back at Ayuda, the conversation turns to that hopeful fight, the one that dares each of these women to give up, and the one that daily proves they just won't, until...
Which colonia is that that's getting connected in August?
¿Cuál colonia es la que se va a conectar en agosto?
there are solutions.
Tengo un problema de pronunciar el nombre.
Is it Cochrane?
Sí.
So it's Cochrane.
We're there as Erica and Nayeli learn that Cochrane, one of the communities they've worked so hard to help, is finally getting connected, clean water.
So this is pretty crazy.
A lifeline in a place where reserves of hope are drying up with the aquifers below, and where time is running out.
We all worry about it.
A place where the most disadvantaged by this crisis are the ones carrying the weight of the fight for justice.
Si aquí estamos con usted, oiga, de codo a codo.
We're all here trying to help each other out, elbow to elbow.
Even at the front lines of a fight that threatens their lives, a sense here that miracles are possible, and a reminder that victory here shouldn't have to be a miracle at all.